And hello, family. Thank you for joining me today. I love Wednesdays. I look forward to spending this time with you. And we got a great show today. Symphony of Heaven is on with us today. If you like symphonic metal, this is the band. So good. And we have Asaph and Pathos here with us today, talking about the band and all things having to do with Symphony of Heaven. If you don't know about the band, you're about to learn, and I'm excited for you to be part of this. So, folks, once again, if you're joining me today, would you sign in and let me know where you're watching from? Our good friend Barry is here. We like him very, very much. Good morning, Pastor Bob and the Sanctuary family, he says. Can I just tell you, and Barry knows this, that this is a family. You are family. And I appreciate that we're all in this together. We always say we are metal, we are family. And our family is an international family, people joining us from all over the world. And I love that part. So thank you for joining us today. Emma is here, my good friend from Montana. Known her for years. Her two twin sons used to attend Sanctuary back in the day. And Seth Montoya, you may know from Heaven's Metal now and from Megal Carpenter, the band. And she's been a good friend from Montana, my home state of Montana. Good to see you, Emma. David Kelly White, good to see you. 30 degrees in Littleton. It's warmer there than it is here. We're in the 20s still. It's been a little chilly. We had snow yesterday, which is very unusual for Nashville. So we've got colder weather. There's been colder weather all over the United States, and everybody else is warming up, and we're getting colder. So I guess it was our turn. So good to see you today, David. Folks, again, if you're joining me, please, please, please let us know where you're watching from. I always think that's a pretty cool thing. And he says, thank you for being a great mentor. Well, I appreciate that, Barry. Thank you. And, I'm old, and part of my responsibility with age is to mentor those folks that are young. And Barry's one of those young bucks, he's still a young guy. So we have a lot of those out there. Stephen Cole, he says, good morning from a rainy, overcast Oklahoma. Yeah, well, the sun is up here, but it's very cold. It's a little crispy. Yes, Forrest is here from Lansing, Michigan. Love, love, love Michigan, and lots of great, great friends there. And Forrest is one of those. Thank you. Samuel is here from Ohio. And folks, we're going to be back in Ohio this coming summer. The end of July, we will be at Immortal Fest. It is also the 40th anniversary celebration for Sanctuary, 40 years now of Sanctuary, which is great. And we have a lot of really special things planned. I'll be announcing them as we get closer. And then the second Immortal Fest, again, the first weekend of September. Jonas is here, and Jonas from Kenya. Good to see him today. We're going to play a little video that has Jonas in it in just a few minutes. But always appreciate you joining us, Jonas, and he's been a good friend for a whole long time. Sanctuary, Kenya. That's in Africa. Yeah. AV, good morning to you. He said he's looking forward to Symphony of Heaven, as are others. They're a great band. And again, if you like symphonic metal, and who doesn't, just saying, you're going to love these guys. Great, great, great stuff. And Les, well, good morning, Les. There's an old face and an old name I remember from Winona Lake in Indiana. Another Indiana folk. Our band today, Symphony of Heaven, are also from Indiana. Albert is here this morning from Winnipeg, Canada. Our neighbors to the north, good morning, he says, and to the Sanctuary family. And again, it is a great family. And if you're just joining us, would you please let us know where you're watching from? And we'd love to just say hello to you real quick. And Calvary Chapel RV Travelers. I like that. Traveling through Texas from Washington State. What a great thing to be able to just travel in an RV. I used to do that. I used to live in an RV when I was more of an evangelist and traveled everywhere speaking, and totally enjoyed that. I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest. That's awesome. Well, folks, I have a great guest host here today, and he has been my friend for 43 years. He's also one of the pastors here at Sanctuary, been with Sanctuary from the very beginning, and there he is, the illustrious Todd Bowe. Good morning, Todd. Uh-oh, your sound isn't working. We can't hear you.
Is that better?
There you go. Yeah, that
Okay.
worked better. Right.
No worries. Yes. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good to see all these names on here
It
and
is.
different locations. It's amazing.
Yeah. Todd,
Yeah.
I love the fact that people are joining us from all over the world. In
Yes.
places you'd never think that would be metalheads or that people would tune into the program. But yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I know some are up late, some are up early, and some are in between.
That's right. Exactly. Well, Todd, we go back a few years. I've known you since you were 17, I think.
Yeah. Barry mentioned mentor, and I thought, how long have you been mentoring me? It's been 43 years, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A long
43 years. It's a long time. You'd think I'd learned something by now.
Well, if you had a good teacher, you would have. Yeah.
You
Well,
just got to listen a little better.
yeah, exactly. Todd,
Yeah,
I was thinking this week as we're starting to plan our 40th anniversary. And first of all, I can't believe it's been 40 years. That just doesn't seem possible.
I
It means
know.
we're older now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yes,
does.
we are. A little
Yeah.
bit.
So I still remember the very first service very well. I know you do too.
I
And,
do.
and just all of the progress along the way, all of these, and we're still standing, Todd.
We are. It's funny. We've been talking about the 40th anniversary coming up and preparing for all that and everything we're looking to do with that at Immortal Fest. And I always go back to that very first um, I guess our service, very first service with Michael up there and going through some songs. And I mean, I remember the lighting. I remember, just what the room looked like. I remember it all. It's as if it were yesterday.
Yeah,
So, when I think about that, it's like it made a lasting impression on my mind from that get go. And then from all the other locations that we ended up along the road,
yes,
right? As to where we are now.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. It was a memorable service. As you said, Michael Sweet was our first
yeah,
worship leader from Striper.
yeah,
And then just that whole crowd and all the bands.
yeah,
think I think we counted 17 bands at the very beginning that all brought their following, and even that
yeah,
first, right before we did the first church service, we called it Metal Missionaries, a band meeting. Do you remember
yeah.
that?
I
With
do. I do
17 bands.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so yeah, just and as we had a long meeting yesterday morning talking about what to do for our 40th anniversary and new merchandise that we're putting out, celebrating it, and a lot of nostalgia stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, but it's
yeah.
it's cool to look back over these 40 years, isn't it?
It really is, and it's been an amazing journey.
Yes.
And it hasn't been one that we've gone alone with. One of the things that I'm reminded of over and over and over again is when we started this. Well, when you started this, I just get to say we because I know you so well.
Well, but
But
you too, though. Todd. You were there.
But
Yes.
the camaraderie, the family unit started way back when. We were family then. We just didn't know or have the idea in our minds to call it family. But that's what
Yeah.
we are. We were what we always have been. But the amazing thing about that timeline was how the bands so wanted to be in accountability and mentorship and making sure their lyrics were right.
Yes.
All that stuff was so important back then because it was so new. I mean, the church, the mainstream church, didn't look at us for a second without having words of the highways that way.
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and and so it was it was an interesting road, but the bands were very, very adamant about being doctrinally correct, on target, looking to make sure their words and their lyrics were right.
Yes.
I remember all that, and that is so important, and it permeates today.
Well, don't you think
You
that's
know,
why we're still standing, Todd?
it is.
Really, it
It's a
is.
big reason why, and why some of the bands from 40 years ago are still standing,
Yes.
because they keep themselves accountable, and not just to us but to their longtime mentors as well, beyond
These bands,
Pastor Bob and others.
I know, but yeah, and what great memories.
Yeah,
I'm looking
yeah,
forward to the 40th anniversary. Put together some, a lot of video clips and pictures and all of that stuff that we have planned for our 40th, and
yeah,
and then it's so hard for me not to talk more about it because I want some things to be a little more of a surprise as we get closer to the event, but it's going to be a really cool time.
hey, do you feel like there's times like when you get somebody a gift, like for a Christmas gift, a birthday gift, or whatever, you're so excited about the gift that you can't wait to tell them about it before they even open it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
I'm like that.
That's
I'm
exactly.
terrible like that. Yeah, yeah. I'm exactly like that. We just picked up some things for Sanctuary, and I couldn't wait to tell the Sanctuary band. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold off on this until this date and this time until it looks like this. No, I didn't last a minute.
Yeah, I know. But and it's things that they've wanted. We're talking about our
Yeah,
work band. It's
yeah,
things that they've needed.
yeah,
As far as PA and stuff like that, that they've needed for a while. And
yeah,
even though we don't have a huge budget, so we kind of have to buy things as we can, and
yeah,
kind of, and they're not huge things, but they're huge to us.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, so they will be excited. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Todd, we have our gathering coming up.
I do.
The next one is this weekend. This weekend, and the whole title is "The Not So Silent Night," and which means we're going to make some noise. We're going to
Yes,
eat
we
some
are.
food. I'm going to do a little teaching, and we've got such a great time planned. And of course, that's on Saturday at 3 p.m. and then the following morning at 10:30 a.m. As every Sunday morning, we do 242 at the storehouse. But
Yeah.
those two events for this weekend, the 7th and the 8th, and if you're anywhere close to Nashville, we would love to have you come and join us, wouldn't we?
Yeah, that'd be great. Please do. I think you'll enjoy the experience. It'll be great to meet you or see you again. So we get a
Absolutely.
lot of people who drive in and fly in actually on the gatherings. They come in from all over the place.
That's the
And
fun part, isn't it? We have
yeah,
so
it really is.
many join us and a lot of
Yeah.
bands that are here and a lot of, and of course our worship band is primo. They're so good.
Yes.
Yes. And love what they're
Yeah.
doing. So, Todd, a few things coming up that we haven't talked a lot about here. One is our Sanctuary Academy, and the
Yes.
Sanctuary Academy is coming in January. Todd, would you take just a minute and talk about that?
Absolutely. I'd love to. We've got some really fantastic teachers, and we're going to be adding to the list of teachers and instructors over the next year. And In my meetings with these guys, they're so excited about it. I mean, they're just like coming off the wall with it. They're very, very excited about it. The classes that we're going to be covering are excellent classes. Yeah, John just put that up there on the screen. We're so excited about these variations. So when we started putting this together, it was a group effort of putting these classes together. So it wasn't
Yeah.
just me. I've had I've had a list of classes myself that I thought of putting together, and I thought, we're going to run this by the group, and this is what we all came up with, and it's a great mix of kind of a class that's just meant for just that timeline. In other words, just the 1 or 2 weeks of teaching. And then there are other classes on this list that will go into a second and third year. Biblical studies, biblical character issues, cults, let's see, contemporary Christian issues. That's an ongoing one. And I think Jamie is going to be teaching that one, Jamie
Yeah.
McCavanagh,
Right.
which is fantastic. And that'll be with a group effort in there as well. Of course, spiritual gifts. We're going to talk about marriage and family roles, and that'll be an expanded class. So we'll go from not just marriage and family, but beyond, the core family into friends and family. So it'll go beyond that into the second and third year. How to study the Bible. That will be a probably 2 or 3 year program on that one, and we're going to get a lot deeper into a lot of these later on. Mental health and addictions. I mean, that can be so many classes on that one that we can come up with that we're looking at for the second year. And I'm actually getting together with a couple of folks to discuss the second year and what that looks like. And we'll be adding, the second folks will be adding to this list right here. And there will also be teachers as well. So
Yeah.
very, very exciting stuff. It's not just about learning, it's about mentoring, it's about discipleship, it's about bringing it and being able to present it on the street.
Yes.
And cultivating that relationship on the street. Because really, at the end of the day, what really matters is discipling people into the kingdom, and that's all it really is.
That's the
You
whole
know,
thing.
it
Yes.
is. We can talk about all these things out there, but when it comes down to it, that's what it's meant for. Let's
Yeah.
disciple people into the kingdom and love them into
Yeah.
the kingdom.
And Todd, and you were in the very first class 40 years ago.
I
Yeah.
actually taught the pastoral. Well, at that time it was
Yeah.
intense studies,
Right.
which we took into pastoral
Yes.
studies
Yes.
into that class. Yeah, and so John also put up the dates when these are going to start. The classroom class is going to start January 9th of next year, of course, and the Zoom class is going to start on January 14th. So if you're not local and you're not able to make it locally here, you can go and enter into these classes by Zoom. And if you wanted to be invited on that, if you would email myself, Todd Bow, at sanctuaryinternational.com. That way I'll have your email address and I can correlate, go back and forth with you guys and get you into those classes at the Zoom classes on Tuesdays. And of course, each class will go from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So whatever time zone that correlates to you, since this is going out all over the world, I don't know what that's going to look like, but
Yes.
um, for here in Middle Tennessee, it's 7 to 9 Central Standard Time. So very
Todd,
exciting and looking forward to that.
yes, very much. And Todd, one more thing we should probably just give a little teaser for, and that is the Sanctuary of Hope that we're about.
Sure of hope. Yes. Very excited about that. I've been working on this tenaciously for quite a while. It
Yes.
takes a lot to put a counseling center together.
Yes.
And I'm excited to say I've got a female counselor that's on board, as well as another counselor. He is out of Texas. We'll when we get closer to that, we'll bring them on as well. But we'll also start doing some podcasting from Sanctuary of Hope as well. So various topics and those kind of things. So you'll see that pop up probably starting in the next couple of months. I'm in the process right now of locating setting up a location in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yes.
But we can also counsel online as well. So that'll be set up to be able to go online also. So a lot underway with that, and more to come. It'll unfold much greater in probably about February or March at the latest. So
Awesome.
that's the timeline we're looking at.
Todd,
Yeah.
you mentioned the two other counselors, but you are one of
Mhm.
them also.
I am. Yeah, I'm one of them. Going through some excellent pastoral counseling. Pastoral counseling, biblical counseling is different than what you would find in your therapy kind of counseling, something like that. This is grounded in pastoral um, counseling. In other words, pastoral learning. It's led by biblical learning, but it branches out and pulls into all of those things that you would go see a mainstream therapist about: your anxiety uh, disorders, your addictions, all these other plethora of areas that somebody would go see your mainstream psychologist about. Even you would actually enter into a relationship,
Yes.
more of a relationship with God in those areas as a pastoral counselor and a biblical counselor.
Great.
So that's what that looks like. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's awesome. And
very exciting.
I'll have your degrees and you're ready
Yep,
to go. And Todd, I was noticing you have that nice sanctuary shirt on.
I
And
do.
it's one thing to wear a sanctuary shirt, but it's another thing when you are serious enough about sanctuary to actually put it on your coffee mug.
Yes.
Leads me to this, Todd. We have a limited number of these, and I am so excited to announce this new coffee mug. And here it is. Look, and these are raised letters. It's a raised lettering. This is really a nice mug, and I've noticed that it keeps your coffee warm for a long time. Once again, this is a limited edition. And if you want one of these, we have a few of them, not a lot of them, a few of them on the
Yes.
Sanctuary merch website right now. WeAreMetal.com or sanctuaryinternational.com/merch, wherever you want to go, but you will find this there today. And Todd, can I just say too that coffee tastes better in the
It really does.
yeah
And we also have it in the older style, if I can
the
hold that
regular mug,
straight. Yeah,
and of
but
course,
it's still raised. Yeah,
and we still have
yeah,
not another pumpkin spice. We
that's
still have
right.
it. Of course, it's seasonal. We won't have it all the time, but right now you can get that there too. Morton has
Yeah,
just joined us, and he says checking in from Aarhus, Denmark. And speaking of Morton, Morton's in the At the Mountain project, the project that is in Kenya. And John, let's roll that video real quick. I want people to see what they're up to.
Take me by the hand.
Good morning from at the mountain. So, welcome here to the mountain. Being the youngest member of the band has some advantages, but also some disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is that after just half a day of practice, the older guys already need a power nap.
I feel like that could be a chorus.
What about? Wait.
It's not the right speed. A little faster.
Can it be sped up? Can I count you in on it? See if I can do it.
Jonas, you ready?
Yeah.
Let me cue.
Terry, you need to move away.
All right.
He doesn't
Terry, I
trust
don't
yeah.
trust you.
All right.
Yeah,
Serious
that's
now.
true.
I'll cue you in.
Okay.
4, 3, 2.
God, your love. Nah. What's that? Terry, is that you?
That was a mango.
Terry.
You ready?
Born ready.
4, 3, 2.
God, your love. Nah.
We are on day 4 of practicing and also recording and doing stuff, putting final touches to our album, the upcoming album. And yeah, it's been going well. We're ahead of schedule. And so what do you do when you're ahead of schedule? You start writing more songs. So let's go see how it goes.
What do you think about something like that?
Yeah, I loved it. I was feeling that.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
Really
I'm just thinking,
feeling that.
then we can keep building the groove and
Yeah.
visualize that we got like 2 guitars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, never stops. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So right now is a bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
We have completed a monumentous task within 5 days, and it has come to the end.
Yeah, I think we got recorded everything for the
Yeah.
album.
Yeah.
At least everything where I need you guys. There's a few local tracks I could do back at home in the studio.
Yeah.
In Denmark.
But all songs are fully written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12 tracks.
We've been going like 18 to 20 hours
Yeah.
every day, sleeping
think
on
about
running
4
on fumes
hours.
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I? Is the middle
No,
put-
yeah. I take mine black. I don't know how you put anything in it.
You put milk in your coffee?
Of course.
I got my can. Yeah, so it's been awesome, man. It's been really, really good having a good time down here.
Yeah.
I feel,
It's been busy though.
yeah,
Very busy. Yeah.
the exhaustion, like right now, is crazy, but I feel like we have really gelled as a band, as friends. I mean, I've known these guys for, you for a year, you for
Less than a year, 9 months.
9 months
Yeah.
or so.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've played together for decades, easily.
Yeah. Maria calls these my band wives. In Kenya you can have several wives.
Yeah.
How many? 5?
5
Yeah.
legally.
Yeah.
But they are supposed to be of the opposite sex,
Yeah. I know.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But this has been a great musical experience, great bonding experience, great spiritual praying experience.
Yeah.
A lot of just miraculous progress beyond anything I would ever expect to be even a part of. It just never happens this fast.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully there will be some music to share within the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah. A
Can't
full,
wait to share it with you.
Yeah,
full
we're
album.
we're thinking early 2025,
Yeah.
release January maybe.
Yeah, hopefully.
If everything
Yeah.
goes well.
All right.
All right. See y'all.
So great to see this come together, Todd.
Yeah, that's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Well, Todd, we've got Symphony of Heaven coming up.
Yes.
I'm excited to dig in and spend some time with the band. There they are. And Asaph and Pathos are here with us, and we're going to have them join us in just a minute. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Anybody want coffee? Anybody?
And we are back with Asaph and Pathos from Symphony of Heaven. Great to have you here with us, you guys. Great to have you here in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us very much. It's great to be here.
Man, I've got a million questions. Folks, I know you do too. And as we progress here, make sure that you write any questions out. And John, our illustrious, industrious producer, will take them down and we'll go through them. But good morning, you guys. And once again, love this band, Symphony of Heaven. Would you, I think the closest genre that I would use to identify the band would be symphonic metal. Would you agree?
There's absolutely, there's definitely a lot of symphonic elements in it. I mean, you know, really tried, especially talking about like the last album, since we've just coming off releasing that, and that's fresh in our minds. There was whole symphony orchestras that we mixed in and buried in the background for some of the songs. So symphonic definitely is a term that that fits for sure.
Yes. Now, Pathos, let me just say that all of the musicians watching are jealous right now. You
I don't know. It's kind of a mess down here. I don't know.
look at that. And then when during the recording process, and it can be a little grueling, can't it?
Oh,
doesn't
yes.
always go well. And sometimes you just feel like punching a wall, and you have behind you a punching bag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that works during those frustrating times.
Yep. It has been used quite often during practice. So,
well, take us back. And I believe
That's funny.
2017 was the birth of the band. Is that correct?
that is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So how did it all start? Give us the history.
Well, you know, I've been into metal since I was a teenager, and I had been in bands in high school and things. And then, you know, I got married and had kids and a full-time job, and kind of had to put all that down for a while. Fast forward about a decade or so, and we finally got the house we'd been working on for so long, and finally got here. And it was, once we finally got here, I went ahead and bought a little small interface, and we had a laptop, and I just started writing music. And then I decided I'm just going to turn this into an album. And I got with Nostril Recordings, Mike Larson from Frost Like Ashes.
Yes.
And he brought me on, and we released The Season of Death through Nostril. And so it was kind of like, well, oh, you know, here we are. I wanted to always turn it into a full band because it's just better. I mean, it's better to do things as a band, I think. And so then I had met Asaph there on over the internet. He was working for different websites and running different things. And I come to find out he's a drummer, and he's in Indiana, and he's not that far away. And lo and behold, one day I'm up there, and I had never had a drummer play. I think it was a stratagem, and he just went right into it. And I'll never forget that moment. It was just kind of magical. Like, this is it. Like, I got my drummer. So, and then from there, we just slowly added people over time. And then our first live show was at the Sanctuary tent in Audio Feed 2019.
Yes.
So,
and Asaph, I have to ask, was it love at first sight? Were you excited about this band from the very beginning?
Yes. Yeah. So I was kind of involved with Nozzrel for a brief period of time where I was friends with Logan before, obviously. Yeah, like I interviewed him. I used to write for Indie Vision Music, so I did an interview with him for that. And then like he said, over time we kept talking. I kept kind of poking the bear, being like, hey, I'm a drummer, I've always wanted to be in a band, and there's around where I'm at, there's just nothing going on. So it kind of, and especially, there's no Christian metal bands in the area. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. He's in Indiana. We can try and make things work. And yeah, I just practiced on an MP3 player, Season to Death, the songs that I think Stratagem and In Anger's Midst, and then, then it worked out. So
you felt like it was a pretty good fit from the very beginning.
Yeah. And it's been a good fit since. So.
Plus James Lars, I guess,
Yeah. So when you look through your discography, you've definitely been active in recording, and you've got a lot out there. That was only the first thing that you were involved with. And Pathos, I understand that a lot of that first album was you playing all the instruments, but then as you began to put the band together, things began to progress. And not every band is as active as you guys have been in writing, recording, producing. Has that been something conscious that you've done? We need to get a lot of material out there? Or is it a natural thing and it just happens and you put it out as quickly as it comes?
Well, I think it is natural and also intentional as well. Because when I was growing up, there was always, I don't know if it was a hard and fast rule, but there was always bands would put out an album about every 2 years. And where I was coming from, I felt like I was behind the 8 ball, where I had a lot of stuff in my head that I had never been able to do.
Yeah.
And it all just kind of just comes out. And so it's like, and it's always kind of this sense of refining, and you get better with everything that you do, the more you do it. So, your songwriting gets better the more songs that you write. Your playing gets better the more you play. And so I just wanted to provide something for people, the same feeling I would get from a band that I really liked, that special feeling, and trying to work towards that. And that just takes time and doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And, when music comes, you got to get it out, and you realize that, that God is the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God is the producer. God is the foundation of the band. And as he begins to give you all of that. Now, there was a young band that I met years and years ago in Sweden that I just thought, these guys are so unique. They hadn't really started their career much yet. And I just knew they were going to be destined for something because music was always happening. And I noticed you're wearing their shirt, Meshuggah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Great album, by the way. Great.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Oh, yes.
That's a lot of years ago.
Wow.
But I noticed some influence there as well. They kind of changed the genre a little bit, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, this was, as I said, it was like late 90s, early 2000s when I was getting into metal. So it was kind of a really fun time.
Yeah.
An album like this was not more than 5, 6, 7 years old. So it was still pretty new. And, guitar magazines would talk about how they would play, and it was just amazing as a young guitar player and drummer as well, just all over musician. Like, yeah, this was really awesome.
Well, the tempo changes, the key changes, and they were all, of course, classically trained as well. But I can see that you guys have brought some of that into your music, and symphonic metal has been notorious for a bigger sound, a broader sound, a little more intricate than say the average death metal band, or even melodic metal in a lot of ways. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is this great song, "Portent of Flame."
Yes.
Such a great video, and I was watching it on YouTube. And tell us how that song came about. That's an amazing, amazing song.
We're very proud of that one. We worked really hard. We would sit down back when Eero Tartsunen from Renaissance was our guitar player. That's really when we started writing that, and we would go up to his place, me, Asaph, and Eero, and we would just woodshed it and go over and over again. What do we need to do here? And I had these ideas. This was like kind of the first song I wanted to really up the level of playing and intricacy, skill. And you could see that even with what Asaph's doing on the drums.
Yeah.
It was definitely something that it was intentional, but also it very naturally kind of just worked itself out. And that's how those songs tend to go. Those are the best ones,
Yes, absolutely. And tell us about the content of the song. So I noticed that you've used some Old Testament characters to illustrate some of your songs. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, that Portent of Flame is about the prophet Elijah.
Yeah.
And as a archetype and forerunner of what some people will know here of the Golden Order of the Almighty, that's a theme that we decided to go with this album. And so Elijah was one that is just a powerful story in so many ways, that it is, it's one guy standing up against all these other prophets and just saying, okay, let's go, and he's not going he just stands up against them. And you have the fire coming down from heaven, and, a portent is, if I can remember things correctly here, it's kind of like the same idea of what we would say like an omen, or that type of thing. So where it's like, you see the flame, it's not just what talking about with Elijah and the prophets back then, but it's talking about all throughout history and how that story you can see that story repeating itself in all kinds of ways.
Yes, absolutely. That's powerful, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, it is.
How do you guys create? Does one person do most of the writing and tell everybody else what to do, or are you good at creating together? How would you say that it works, basically?
Yeah, I would say that, like, from the start of the band, Logan obviously, or Pathos obviously started with the first album. He wrote everything on that.
Yeah.
And then as kind of the band has become more of a band, it has slowly become more collaborative. Maniacal in Tropic Discordium was the first one I had any like solid involvement in. I helped produce drums for the Ascension of Extinction, but that was more of a producing, like, hey, does this sound good? Can you play this?
Yeah.
And that worked out. But yeah, Maniacal was where I got really involved. And then with this album, the most recent album, Ordo Archea, it was really just every member of this band essentially has had some involvement in the songwriting process. Like he said, Portent of Flame was a little bit of everybody, or myself, Eero, and Pathos. The Hunter was our guitarist, Onyx. He wrote all of that. Archea was all Eero, and then the Away with the Atheists was all Pathos and Carl, I think, for the most part, and myself. And then the last 2 tracks were the most recent lineup. So it's a little bit of everybody who's been involved. This is the most collaborative album we've ever had. So, yeah, hopefully we'll continue that trend in the future.
Yeah. Yes. So 7 years you guys have been together, basically.
Wow.
Going
Oh,
on
man.
8 years, right?
It's coming up on it. Yeah.
I've been around for 6 at least.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up in the future. Are you working on new material? I noticed that with your fans, there are these rumors of new material. And I know that's the question everybody's asking. Is there new material coming up?
Well, I mean, there is so much material. I could put something out literally right now. It wouldn't be finished, but there's a lot of unfinished stuff. But actually, yes, we, with putting out Ordo Arum Archaea and kind of releasing it out into the world to grow wings and legs and be its own thing, we can continue to promote that as we have been. At the same time, starting, God willing, to look into the future and start another timeline, because this was just the first in a series of episodes, as you would call it, of what we're wanting to do.
Yes.
A continued story, so that you have to keep on doing that, and it gives us a time and a schedule to increase our skill even more, and kind of, it's a good, what would be the right word? It's a good time pressure on ourselves. Like, if you don't have anything to do, you won't do anything. So you got to have a plan.
Yes, I totally agree. Todd, that's the way you operate.
I like it like that.
Todd is my friend for a long time. He does a to-do list. And he goes, today I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and he does.
Yep.
My to-do list starts the night before.
Yeah.
It does. I literally have a to-do list, and the important ones are highlighted. The ones that aren't as important are not highlighted. So I look for the highlighted first, and then I prioritize those. What's got to get done? Of course, this was one this morning, but I've got a number of things to do the rest of the day. I do have a question for you guys, if it's okay.
Yeah.
I love hearing your heart in what you're putting together, what you've put together. I'd love to hear more about your heart in the future, of not just as a band, but individually, what God's doing with you guys, what he's teaching you, what you guys are gleaning, and how that translates into the music with the band.
Great question.
Asaph, you want to take that first?
Oh, man. I knew you were going to do that. Yeah, I guess I can take that. Man, that's a hard question to answer. I'm the youngest in the band, and because of that, I feel like in some ways I'm maybe the least spiritually mature. I don't know. But, I've just been trying to let, God kind of take control of things. Humility has been a big thing I've been trying to learn more about, and to stay humble and allow God to kind of take the glory and the control. Because as musicians, it can be very easy to allow yourself to think kind of highly of your accomplishments, but
that's true.
In reality, it's not. I'm talentless. I just hit stuff. So like, really, it's all God's glory. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I think for me, I think about this quite often. I know personally in my life, as far as I can tell, God has put me on this earth for art, for music, and using that as a natural vehicle to spreading his truth, to shining his light into dark places. He's going to do it without me or with me. And it's just very natural. That's like, I'm on his boat and we're just kind of going on an adventure. Like, like Bilbo, like I'm going on an adventure. That's what I feel like a lot.
Yeah.
And, for me personally, I want to be able to show younger Christian metalheads or anybody that maybe is getting into it or feels alone, you have, or anybody in the metal scene, because that's just kind of where God has put us
Yes.
to operate. That like shine your light, be that you have support here. You have, if you're a metalhead that didn't know anything about Christians in the metal scene, and you were looking for some, like, and you kind of felt like, man, there's only secular stuff, and I like it, but it makes me uncomfortable with some things. We can be here with you because, it's hard to explain other than just trying to be a light wherever God puts us,
Yes.
and me specifically, and using whatever avenues God opens up to humbly help people, and support them, and just be a shoulder for them to lean on, and show love through everything that God gives us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And sometimes God just needs a big mouth from us.
well, I think he's gave me one. So,
He's got one with us.
Todd, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say that pathos. I think what you're describing is summing up the word family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because that's what we are. We're family. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. So, John, we've got some questions that are coming in.
Ooh.
Maybe if you'd put the first one up on the screen. What are the hardest parts for you to write? Is it your melodic symphony?
I'll take that. On that part, the hardest parts, the melodic parts are not very hard to write. Those come very naturally. It has a very set of rules in like chord progressions and stuff. If you get out of that, it's no longer melodic. The symphonic parts is really where it's challenging and fun, because I tried to, especially on this last album, look at the symphonic parts and the orchestra parts almost like in a movie soundtrack or a score of a Symphony of Heaven. So it's like you can do there, and when you really sit down and listen to a symphony orchestra or a suite or a piece that's been written hundreds of years ago, there's so much stuff going on and it just comes back on it. So it's a good challenge, and it really kind of forces you and allows you to get out of a mold and create something completely unique.
Yes. And that's where the creativity comes in, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
John, do we have any more questions that have come in for the band? L. Cox says, what bands influenced them? Well, I can say Meshuggah for sure. What other bands have influenced you guys?
Take that, Mason.
Oh yeah, I'll take it for my So for me, a lot of my metal upbringing was kind of in the Christian music world. So oddly enough, some of my biggest influences were bands like POD, and Living Sacrifice and Demon Hunter, obviously. Were a couple of big ones. Basically, the golden age of solid state records was kind of my introduction into this. As time has gone on, it's become less metalcore and more straight death metal, black metal kind of stuff, more extreme. Like A Hill to Die Upon is a great band, I think. Death is one of my favorites. Extol, stuff kind of more progressive music I find very interesting. It kind of keeps me on my toes, and I think the progressive elements are starting to be more reflected in our music. I think especially with this last release. So
yeah, I'd say for me, because I how much time you guys got? So I'd say for me. I grew up on old 80s Metallica. That's where I started. And the thrash metal and Slayer and Pantera and all that. Then I got into, more traditional old school death metal like Cannibal Corpse and things. And that all ended up, back in high school and things, it was bands like Dimmu Borgir, Cradle of Filth,
Yeah.
Because it was just this. I was like, I don't know. I didn't like the lyrics. That's obvious. I still don't. But it's like there was something about this sound that they had that I couldn't put my finger on it. And then you got to bands like In Flames and Soilwork, and it was just a magical time. Cloud Connected, or I can't remember the name of the album, but the album with Trigger on it from In Flames was it changed my world. I didn't know what this was coming from Scandinavia, and it's still I can remember that feeling like I don't know what this is, but this is amazing.
Yeah.
So a lot of anything that's more melodic, big, epic. Devin Townsend, really big. All his stuff is a really big influence for me, and just that big wall of sound, lots of stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a big epic, whatever that can get big and epic. That's what we try and do.
Totally agree. Totally.
That's the
agree.
irony of it, though, is that whereas Pathos was more like orchestral and kind of a lot of things going on, I took the opposite, and probably because I'm a drummer, I took more the percussive route.
Yes.
Like I forgot to mention Sepultura was a big band.
Yeah. Right.
For when I was getting into more percussive elements. So,
Yeah.
that came from Living Sacrifices era.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All great bands. And isn't it cool, you guys, that through the last 40 plus years now, to watch the progression of metal. We started out with heavy metal. It wasn't a whole lot of variety. And now I think at last count there are 18 different metal genres. And we've come a long ways. It's almost like saying rock and roll.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Because the diversity is huge now. But the coolest thing, you guys, is that we're still a family. And wherever I travel around the world, and whenever I have an opportunity to spend time with our family of Christian metalheads, the languages are different. The people are the same. That's why I started naming this "We Are Metal, We Are Family," because that's what strikes me the most. It is family.
Yes.
Todd, we felt that for 40 years, haven't we? It's been a family. It's a reunion when we get together with people.
Every time.
Love that part. That part. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And let's do this again. Would you let us know whenever it's time again, when you're about to release another album or whatever it is? We'd love to have you back, and we'd love to keep up with Symphony of Heaven. And folks, if you haven't checked it out, you can start on YouTube, watch the video there, and you can, there we go, there's the merchandise. You can get that also at Anchor Merchandising, where our merchandising is as well. And then the website, you can go there also and see what the band is up to, see what's going on. You can use it as a jumping off point to watch videos and whatever you might want. But folks, check them out. Great guys. So guys, again, thank you for joining us today. And folks, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you being here with us. And got a lot of great people coming up this month. Our special Christmas show is Christmas Day. Special New Year's show is on New Year's Day. Seventh Day Slumber is next week. And then I've got Dale here with us from Bride the following week. Some good stuff coming up. Lots of exciting things to announce as we get closer to the new year, and I can't wait to share those things with you. But folks, for today, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.